Netherlands do amazing.
Yeah.
They are legal and they pay taxes.
And they know where they are.
Yep.
They know where they are. They know their names. They know who's behind it.
Yep.
It's so much easier to control a beast when you know where it is.
So
if you
are
don't
you
know where the
saying we're
beast is,
prostitutes?
no, but
We got it next. That's how you finesse. We come for they next.
Hey, welcome to the Sales Point. I'm Jerry, he's Dennis, and we are going to talk today about the mysterious world of PSPs, payment service providers. And we're going to explain some shites about it. Dennis, today we don't have the 3-camera setup. We have only one, that one.
but it's pure quality at least.
Yeah, it's a better quality camera. But as we don't have the 3-camera setup, we're going to compensate it with quality content. Okay? So, first thing, what is a PSP?
You already said it.
Yeah, explain it.
I guess it's the definition in Europe at least, because I know in the US they call it ISO or agent. But in Europe it's a...
Introductory agent.
Yeah. In Europe it means payment service provider, which means you're providing services for payments, which can be... Well, I would say again, I still have this definition issue. If you don't have a gateway to offer, you're an agent, because you're referring, you're not reselling. At one point when you're a PSP, you're reselling.
You are a technical partner.
Yes, and you're reselling the services.
Because you have
in a
your own
different way.
payment
Yes,
gateway
precisely.
software.
If you're an agent, you usually work on referral, which means you introduce and you don't handle much of them in between. But when you're a PSP, you take the conversations with the merchants and the acquirers, and you deal with all that in between.
Why should I go to a PSP instead of going directly to the acquirer? It's going to be cheaper.
Flexibility. I would say flexibility.
But it's going to be cheaper, for real? If I go
Some
directly
cases,
to the acquirer?
yes, it will be. There's some people that don't, strive.
In my own experience, I have seen acquirers giving higher price than PSPs. For example, we have a partnership with an acquirer, and I rate a merchant IC++ 2%, and they were forcing me to rate that merchant IC++ 4%.
Yeah, but it's not always that the PSP gets their way either. So you have to meet a middle way, or sometimes you have to go to their price point. But there is a massive difference if you go directly to the acquirer.
Yeah.
But you lack the flexibility that a PSP have. You might lack, I would say in most cases you lack the knowledge too, because of that flexibility. You obtain the knowledge differently instead of being focused on that one hive mindset of this is the acquirer. You then focus on, okay, there are more. It's like the grass is greener somewhere else. But in this case, it can be fruitful instead of, in other places, you shouldn't think like that. But in this case, you should always think, maybe for some things, I need multiple acquirers. For example, it could be chargebacks, it can be fraud, it can be countries, better approval rates in certain countries.
Banking.
It can be...
Banking.
What do you mean?
A PSP will offer you payment services, also IBAN,
alternative payment methods, and
payment
so on and
methods.
so on, yeah. But for acquiring a loan, you have that tool where you can actually utilize it. And if you have the volumes and the transactions, you should consider diversifying for sure.
I think the thing what most of the merchants they don't think about is that they have their business, their company, and companies, if they are lucky, if they are well administrated, if they are hitting the niche correctly, they will grow up. And once you grow up, if you have only one merchant account with an acquirer,
it can be a change of policies. It can be anything really.
You can get fucked up.
Oh yeah.
But because say
the rolling reserve is 6 months and it's 10% usually. Yeah. That's a lot of money for a lot of people to move on to the next one.
Yeah, not only that. Let's say I don't know. I'm in the dating industry. I'm processing with a Danish acquirer, and suddenly the acquirer changed the policies because it got
Which happens.
bought by a German bank. With, I'm telling a real life example.
Oh yeah, they kicked out a lot of.
And
adult-
they kicked out. They get kicked
But the
out, and they
pricing-
don't have a
but
payment
if you look
gateway.
at if you look at the pricing that came out from there, they gave them lower than what we would ever do.
Yes.
Like a lot lower.
Yes.
Especially even for merchants that didn't even have the minimum volumes of, let's say our acquiring network at least. They were cheaper than the ones we have that are bigger than them.
Yeah, we have the case also of a Danish porn star that she owned a webcam site.
Yes.
And she was processing with this Danish acquirer, but the Danish acquirer got bought by a German bank, and they kicked out all the adult companies.
Adult, they changed the CBD policies and so on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the case. You can get hurt a lot because the acquirers don't have to care.
Yeah, but a PSP cares because
Precisely.
if the merchant doesn't process,
If you get that notice, at least you would say, okay, we have, let's say, one or two more solutions. You can offer that flexibility.
Yeah.
Maybe you can even offer them certain other solutions that can keep them alive. Meanwhile, might be more expensive. But there are cases for where it makes sense to do that. And
What
that's
do
the
you
flexibility
think?
you get.
What do you think it will be less of a headache, having a cheaper price, or having flexibility, opportunities, those extra solutions that a PSP can offer?
I think that that's the point, as any business always have to do, is they have to make some kind of calculations. What's the pros against the cons in regards to, if I diversify, then I take my, maybe let's say 100,000, I divert it into two. That's 50-50. Will it make this 50,000 maybe become 60,000? Because then paying us an extra whatever might actually be beneficial, because if this one hits the markets better, let's say you have France, Germany, that here is at 70%, you go here, it's 90. Then those two countries alone will grow. Focus on the ones that are already growing here. You can diversify your portfolio and you can make yourself less volatile for policy changes, volume dips, country. You can also face that you can be ghost banned.
Yeah.
So there's benefits to do this, and this is also in combinations to the other things that a PSP usually offers: fraud prevention, transaction monitoring, banking, and so on and so on and so on. Is that it helps to unify your payments into one and improve the overall performance if you have volume. It's harder when you don't have volume to diversify over acquirers because nobody's really interested in it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, in my merchant's portfolio here in the company, I have a merchant that he was processing like 600,000 every month, and he have 3 merchant accounts, and he divides 200, 200, 200. The processing, just in case if he loses one, he have 2 more as a backup.
Yeah.
But,
But that's more
diversification.
He diversified because
Yes.
of volatility to, termination.
it
was
happened to
nothing
him.
else because since it's the same country and it's in Europe and European acquirers, they all hit more or less the sweet spot. It's more when you go outside of Europe and you go to certain countries. I see France. Like I told in a separate episode, is I had a CBD merchant in France and he was struggling. But he went somewhere else and his approval rates went high. We've seen it in Sweden with adult and dating.
Oh my God.
And CBD.
Approval rates are shit.
Denmark. Like it's crazy. But
Yep.
you have to have that in mind when you process the things you do. I would say it's easier probably to find solutions if you're a European company to find acquirers inside of Europe to improve it. But if you're selling outside of Europe and your company is European, it's going to be hard to really find those solutions to improve and improve and improve and improve and improve, because you cannot affect it in the same way, because you have in Europe you have all these corporate collaborations internally and whatever. But once you go to, let's say, Iran, or you want to go to the Middle East, or you want to go to Asia, or you want to go to even North America, you don't have the same reach. And there, I would say always you need a local entity depending on your volumes.
So, PSP from Europe can get you a merchant account in the United States, for example.
If they have solutions or partners, yes.
Yes, because we do it.
But that's the point.
Fasto.
I would say that certain acquirers are trying
Fasto.co.
to work on that bridge between Europe and North America, maybe even Europe and Latin America. They are working to fix some bridges. I think it's I know an acquirer that has a European and UK, and then you also have it in Singapore, I think. So they can hit some of those countries too to hit the to cross that bridge, that cross-border sales. And I saw that lately Shift4 bought a cross-border tool to also enhance that with
Yeah.
the currency converter. I think it was included in that. And I'm thinking that as we grow or as we move forward, this will be better and better. But I still don't think the acquirers will ever have that flexibility, because you don't like the idea of your volume getting devalued and then you sending it somewhere else, even
Yeah.
though they don't see the large picture. Is they could, if they wanted to, acquirers could blow us out of the water and we wouldn't be needed in some sense, because they could think,
I think it's
I
the
can still
future."
diversify it and make more. But the only thing they always see is, okay, you know what we could do? Give us another URL and we can give you another mid. Yeah, but that's not gonna. It's not bettering the process or the conversions. It's not gonna do anything because it's the same MCC code. It's gonna be the same product, unless you wanna play around with that. But then it's a different story.
I think it's the future. I think in the future, all PSPs will require a license.
Yeah, I know you talked about it.
Yes, and those that doesn't get the license,
But I don't think
they
you
will
need
disappear.
you need a certain license. I don't think it's the you
Yep.
need to you don't need to go to the EMI level. But
No,
I don't
but
think
a
it's a bad
PayFac
idea. though.
license or a payment institution license.
I don't think
or
it's a
something.
bad idea in some way, because I see too many becoming PSPs and agents that don't know what they're doing.
I
And
know a few.
they reflect a bad image on the people that actually try to learn and improve over the duration of the time that we've been live, at least. Is that I've seen a lot of people come in and they confuse me with what they're offering, what they're doing, how they're doing it, and the service they're delivering. Because there is no, like, a lot of them are even moving, away from Europe because taxes. So I would say that that's always the hardest, and it's annoying. And there's a lot of amazing PSPs, but there's 10 times more shitty ones, and it creates a problem once you get merchants, because you get merchants from other PSPs or even shitty acquirers, you have a trust issue, which makes it harder to do what you're supposed to do for them because they don't trust you.
No. Actually, every single time that I receive an application, let's say from a merchant that looks amazing, and I submit it to the acquirer, and the acquirer comes back and tell me, hey, this guy is in the blacklist, this company is on match, and shit, I get really, really, really annoyed, because I know that the acquirer, the trust score from the acquirer with me lowers a little bit.
Yes.
And if it happens several times,
Yes.
then
It's
the acquirer
gone.
stop trusting me, and if the acquirer stop trusting me, then
It's
it
gonna be
happened.
harder.
It happened what happened to us like 2-3 years ago, that we broke relationships with a Maltese acquirer. Because I think because something similar. I remember that we were submitting
Yeah.
deals.
Right, left, and center.
Um,
But I would say we
over a
tried our
year.
best to
Yeah.
work within the frame that they gave us. The framework they gave us was what we were trying to submit, and everything got declined. And sadly, when it finally got something approved, they didn't start. And ultimately,
Yeah.
we don't control people's business, and we're trying our best to do everything because we have no intention. That's why we don't work with Curacao, and we don't work with anything that feels shady. So we're trying to really keep that healthy
Yeah.
relationships, but it's hard sometimes because you can have these conversations and all these chats and whatever with the customers, and ultimately we don't know them, and we cannot in any way guarantee anything because we don't have the same tools because we're not licensed. So we don't get access to Visa and MasterCard, so we can't see all the red flags that might be there. So we see them when the acquirer sees it and comes back, and it becomes our issue, like we didn't do our homework, but it's impossible. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah. The other thing is that in a close future, as we are probably try to get a license, we will have our own professional AML underwriting department or whatever, like that.
I'm hoping.
Probably we will be able to check those things.
We can, as long as we're
before.
registered with the card schemes as not as an agent, which we are now. We will be able to do that. I think there are tools that can give us certain informations, but
Yeah.
it's just I don't feel that every red flag that maybe a risk person that never worked in sales and never been a merchant
Yeah.
sees as an error or a bad thing is something that should justify a no. Like we talked about before as well, is I don't think everything should justify a no. Just because the risk profile is a little different, and maybe it's because of certain unlucky situations. I've seen people that got screwed over by something they couldn't control, and then it falls on their table to fix it. How? I think you need to have some humanity in that.
Yeah.
And then put some limitations. If people are not willing to set or accept those limitations that you set as an acquirer,
Yeah.
okay, then go. I don't think it's necessarily you should pay a massive startup fee or setup fee or monthly fee, or the percentage has to be crazy, but you can do maybe higher rolling reserve, lower volumes they can process, see it
Fixed
through.
reserve.
Yeah, something like that. There's a million different options if you really want to. You can even say these countries, this, that volume, that highest ticket, this and that. You can't do recurring, anything. Just do something to figure out how can we, engage in a partnership with something that can be fruitful. And if they don't accept it, then they probably have a different. Some people not realistic, but some people are trying to scam. So I think ultimately it depends on that. So, if you think that it's going to be mandatory to get a license,
Yes, yes, and I think that will that will get rid of half of our competitors, if not more. But not only that, that will improve the service. But I think it's another
but there's a lot of
control,
licensed
another-
entities that
Yes.
still provide a shitty service.
Yes,
So
I won't say names. Don't say names, please. So we already play too much with that, and but the thing is, I think it's another control mechanism
course it
from I don't know from
it's the same thing. If
governments.
you have prostitutes in your city, is it better to make it illegal or make it legal and you know who's doing it? I would say that it's always better. Figure out who's
Netherlands
doing
do amazing.
Yeah.
They are legal, then they pay taxes.
it. And they know where they are.
Yep.
They know where they are. They know their names. They know who's behind it.
Yep.
It's so much easier to control a beast when you know where it is.
So
if you
are
don't
you
know where the
saying we're
beast is,
prostitutes?
no, but it just felt like the perfect example. It could be cocaine as well.
I'm a
I
cheap
wouldn't-
hooker.
I'm not a fan of cocaine. I've never done it, but sometimes it's better to know your enemies than
Enemies.
like the Yakuza.
Yeah.
It's a guessing game
Yeah.
because they're good at hiding all that shit. How are you gonna figure out where, what, how? If it's legal in some way, I'm not saying everything should be legal, legal, but if you do certain things, you will know where they are.
I consider myself sort of a libertarian in that aspect, and I consider that the world should have just some basic rules like the
Don't kill, don't rape.
the 10 commandments or something from religion, and everything else should be open, but it gotta be not regulated. It gotta be a law about them. For example, taxes. One of the issues I have with taxes is that every month when I get my salary, I get deducted a fee for the Social Security and a fee for the yearly income tax, personal yearly income tax. So, what if that month I have an urgency, I need that money, maybe next month I can pay double, Why
That's the
don't
problem also.
why don't give me the opportunity to fuck it up? Why don't give me the opportunity to, hey, I get my entire salary and at the end of the year I pay my taxes? No, they deduct
I think they do
every
in the
month,
US, right?
Huh?
US? You have
I
to
think they
declare
do
yourself.
it. Yes, you gotta declare yourself. But in Europe, it's not like that. I think that's a control mechanism. Oh no, because if that happened, people won't pay the Social Security, and then the pension system will collapse. Dude, if somebody don't pay the Social Security,
Just don't help them.
Don't give him free medicine.
Yeah.
In the United States,
think it would
I
be
know
nice
it's
to-
a little bit inhuman, but in the United States, if you go to a private, public hospital, whatever, no, but yeah, they help you, they stabilize you, and if you don't have an insurance, they put you in the sidewalk. Bye bye. It's inhuman. Yes, it is. Some people they need help. Some other they don't need help. They are expecting free help.
Yeah, I get it.
And I am in favor of helping those people
For sure.
that need
sure.
help, but I'm not in favor of helping the people that is playing with those government mechanisms just to get money. I know the case in Spain. For example, a lot of Moroccans, they go to Spain because they have a cousin, they have a grandpa or a brother in Spain, so they get the residence. As they are new in the country, there is a plan from the government so they can get like 700 euros every month per 2-3 years while they get stable.
Acclimatized, yeah.
Yes. So what they do is that they go there, they ask for the help, and then they go back to Morocco, and they live per 3 years with 700 euros a month in Morocco. That's not fair.
No, that's bullshit.
So, yes, there is a lot of people. Hey, watch out. I love Moroccan people. I'm not racist. The same happened with my people,
No,
Venezuelans.
Well, you can't really hate the people who's working the system. You can hate the
course.
people controlling the system.
Yes. So I think certain control mechanisms
sure.
are very fucked up, and the license one, I think, is the first one that is very, very fucked up. For example, in certain countries, if I want to be an Uber driver, I need a government issue license.
Yeah, that's a little retarded.
Yeah.
That should be more open market.
It's not an open market.
No, I
so what happened? That the licenses are limited. So
True.
let's say in one city,
You can buy them.
in one city they gave 10,000 licenses for Uber driving, but there are only 3,000 Ubers. So there are 7,000 licenses that are not being used.
But somebody has them,
And somebody has them.
which means they're controllable.
So if I want to be an Uber driver, I need to buy it from him. Do you know how much is an Uber driver
I
license
think
in
they
Spain?
talked about it, a few 100,000.
Yes, 150,000 euros for, dude, to be a fucking Uber driver. Plus the 50,000 that the car will cost me. So 200,000 euros if I want to be an Uber driver. If I want to be an Uber driver, it's because I don't have money. Where the fuck I'm going to get 200,000 euros?
Yeah. But I
Who
think
the fuck wants to be an Uber driver?
Strive to be an Uber driver.
What the fuck?
I think it's like this last way out.
Of course.
No, but I think having a license in some way is also nice because you're held accountable. There's a lot of shitty people during this last 5 years, 6
Yeah,
years,
but-
even before that.
But we were in the
That
United
disappeared.
States. We were in the United States, and Uber is not regulated by the government in there, and we never had issue with our Uber drivers.
Actually, they were amazing.
Because Uber conduct a background check on every
No, but they're
single
nice.
person that applies.
I don't think I had an Uber driver that was.
No, do you remember the guy with the basketball?
Yeah.
He was playing basketball while he was driving, but he was driving on a smart car that the car
Drove.
drove by itself. So yeah.
No,
it was
but
weird.
that's the thing. I don't think license. I think a license would be nice because like can hold some people accountable
Yes.
because a lot of people, I don't know what's wrong with them. Like the guy in LA, you remember that we're supposed to eat with? That
Yes, he never appeared.
introduced us to the person that helped us build our U.S. company, which we're now getting
And that person
scammed.
A scammers, yeah.
But that's like the good thing is we paid with card, so I can do a chargeback. But outside of that, there's limited accountability.
I'm gonna
for
tell
them.
a secret from my past. It's not a secret. It's fucking public information. A lot of people knows it. I was doing an activity before working at Fasto that requires a license in order to do it. And I didn't have the license because I didn't have the money to obtain the license. So I was doing an activity without a license. I cannot say many things about it, just besides that I haven't scammed anybody, I haven't stolen money from anyone. I was conducting, I wasn't even conducting the business. I was just the IT guy of that, but it wasn't my idea, but I was like part of the people who had the idea. So the police went to my house. They took me to the police station, and yeah, I spent a couple of days there. And someday a trial will be. And the thing is that I was conducting a license activity without having the license. And yeah, do I deserve to be fucked up for the rest of my
Yes.
life for that?
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think so, because I really didn't steal money from anybody. If I stole money from someone,
Then it's
please
different.
let me know. I will give it back to you.
No,
Not
but
only that,
I
I
think
wouldn't.
they-
I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be working for a salary every month. I will be in the fucking Bahamas or,
somewhere in the Caribbean, yeah.
yeah, or in Southeast Asia, living the
course,
dream.
of course.
The thing is that I did something illegal. I don't think so.
But
In
here's
my
the thing: you
opinion-
got to prove still with
Huh?
the payment processor
What?
to conduct the illegal business.
What?
You got to prove to conduct those businesses.
Yes. A payment processor gave me a payment gateway
Yep.
because they and MasterCard and Visa or the entire acquiring card scheme system considered that my business wasn't illegal. It's just that in certain countries it requires a license.
Yeah,
So at the end of the day,
illegal versus legal,
I think what I did was in a gray area.
of course.
But I don't know, dude. I didn't deserve all the issues I had. Now, I have the example of two companies doing the same shit. I know. I even have the example of a payment service provider that has a license in the UK, PayFac license, and they support everything.
My internet died again.
It's an insta approval.
Yeah.
You go there, hey, I'm stealing money from the starving children in Namibia. Okay, I give you a payment gateway for that. They don't give a fuck.
How much you gonna process it?
And they have a license. And you know what? After 2-3 months, they will freeze your money and tell you, I'm sorry, the regulation told us to freeze your account, blah, 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 and you will never see your money again. And they have a license. There are some licensed entities that are worse than unlicensed entities.
For sure.
How do we deal with that kind of things when you are a merchant and you're looking for a payment service provider?
Yeah. No clue, man. We're not meddling in the money. And we're not giving aggregated accounts, so we're not participating in that race where we get,
That's important.
funds in our hands. which needs a license, and we don't give aggregated accounts, which means we're lying.
Can you explain for the viewers what is an aggregate account?
An aggregated account is basically a shared account on a fixed MCC code, which means if you're selling crypto, it's not going to be that MCC code. If you're selling, I would imagine that in most cases it's going to be set to a low risk MCC code to get the highest approval rate. So gambling, crypto, adult would obtain a higher approval rate, but on the bank statement of people, it wouldn't say their company name. It would say something low risk, and you would
Even if
trick
you
the
are a
system.
casino or a drop shipper or whatever, if you sell vape, whatever, you in the bank statement of the people that pays in that payment gateway, it says like a clothing store.
Yes, precisely, to obtain the higher approval rate across the line. Because for gambling, I get why they're doing it, because 7995 is so used now that every bank, every card
targeting.
issuer knows that it's gambling.
Would you say that if a solution offers you an aggregate account, that's a red flag?
Yes, always. I would say that there are aggregated accounts that can be done where it's the right MCC code, but I would say it's very uncommon because people do it. So they get your rolling reserve. They
Yeah.
get your volumes because the acquirer that they use will then pay them for them to pay you. So when they fuck you over, they have the money.
So first red flag, they are offering you an aggregate account. An aggregate account, you don't have your own descriptor. It's the one that they set for you. So you don't have control.
Which also means you can't stop the chargebacks.
Okay. So if you receive a chargeback, you eat it. So what will be another red flag besides aggregate accounts?
I would say always look at the reviews wherever you can find them. If you can't find any, that's also a red flag.
We had one bad review once.
Yeah,
It was fake.
but he deleted it. Nah, you mean that one? Yeah.
Yeah, the Estonian.
I still think it's there though.
Is there?
I think that was weird
Yeah.
because we had no customers here in Estonia.
We have only one customer in Estonia.
No, we have two.
Two.
Organia and TSD.
Uh-huh. And one of them is our
Megatron, three. But it's not in them.
business partner. is a shareholder in the company.
And the other two
So
has
he
been-
won't give us a bad review.
And the other two has been with us for like 2 years, so I highly doubt it. And they're still with us.
Yeah, and somebody from Estonia gave us a bad review. I think it's a former employee that was
Bored.
annoyed or bored or something.
But I don't understand how, because if you look at it, the latest ones we let go, I gave them a letter of recommendation.
They don't give a fuck.
Plus, we gave them extended cancellation periods. I've been nice to everybody that we had let go and are not working with anymore.
People is weird, dude. I think also it's not
Resentment?
it's not that easy to find a job in here, so they get that resentment bullshit.
I guess. It's just weird because I would say with most people, we always ended it nice. Mm-hmm. Every single one. Except, no, everybody. As far as I can remember.
And well, I know two of them that no. Two cases that they weren't, but they misbehave. They misbehave, and we gotta let them go. Yeah. So well, yeah, that's another red
Anyways.
flag. The reviews. If all the reviews are good in our case, I consider it so weird. Why all our reviews are 5 stars, but that one that is 1 star? And I know the reason.
We got another one, but he was just mad because I decided not to work with him.
Yeah, but that one was deleted by Trustpilot.
No, he deleted it himself.
He deleted it.
He
Okay.
came to senses.
The thing is, I get a customer, an application in our system. We get an application in our system. We call the customer. we tell them yes or we tell them no. If we tell them no, he cannot leave a bad review because he's not our customer. We haven't offered him anything. If we tell him yes, probably he will get approved because usually we filter a lot those applications and
if
we
they
only
actually provide what we asked them for, which
Yes.
is often they don't want to do that.
yeah. So once we filter all those applications, we actually work with the people we consider that they can get approved. Once they get approved and they start processing, then we ask them, hey, can you leave a review? Of course, the review is going to be 5 stars because
course.
the guy
Well, at
is
least
happy.
we put some effort into actually getting
Yeah,
it.
the guy is happy. He's processing. He's receiving his payments. Why will he complain? No, but it's suspicious that you don't have any 4, 2, 3, 1 star review. I'm sorry, but
Not
I
really.
don't ask the people that I decline. I don't ask them, hey, can you leave a review? But even if I ask the people that I decline, please leave a review, they can't say shit because I called them, I was kind to them, and if they get declined, it's because they don't have,
They don't fit the.
they don't fit in our business model or they don't fit in our acquirers' risk appetite. So it's not our fault. So I will say that a third red flag will be an acquirer that tells you immediately, yes, what's the volume?
But they
And,
usually
and don't ask you many questions.
they usually also ask for a high setup fee, and then sometimes I've seen some even lower the rolling reserve, which always is a red flag to me.
Yes. Rolling reserve, it can be lower if you have a very good processing history.
Yes,
It
then-
can be 5%.
But it should be you asking for it, not them offering.
Not them. Mhm. So easy, that's a red flag. Easy is always harder. When something is easy, for example, Stripe. Stripe is probably the biggest payment gateway, payment solution in the planet. I think that there is nothing easier than Stripe, but Stripe don't support all business models. If you have an adult website, for example, probably Stripe will close your account and held your money
Most likely.
per years. That's easy. Open a Stripe account, but at the end of the day, you will lose your money.
Well, lose and lose, you will have to wait for it. But yeah, I would say it's still one of the biggest brands you can ever be kicked out of. Then you could trust the Stripe.
Yeah.
You don't have to fear. But what I've seen they actually do is
It happened to me with PayPal. PayPal did the same to me. I had a PayPal account, personal PayPal account,
weird.
and I received, I don't know, 400 euros or something like that. And then they start asking me, where are those 400 euros coming from? What the fuck is for 400 euros that that my family sent me because I'm starving in Europe. I'm looking for a job. I was way many years ago.
times.
Yeah. And they said, no, I'm sorry. We're gonna turn this transaction back. So they made a refund to
Stripe does that.
the payer, and I lost my money. Not only that, they issue like a penalty or fine of 25 euros. So my PayPal account was in minus 25 euros. I never paid them.
No.
Dude, they added me.
That's a fake
They
fee.
added me to the blacklist of debt collector. They added me to debt collection, and they kept calling me per month. And no, now the interest have grown. Now you owe us 450. And last time, they told me I owe them 2,000 euros, but they can settle in 500. And I told them to fuck off. I never paid that shit. I'm still
I've
still
done the
there
same.
because I changed my phone number, and that's the reason they stopped calling.
Yeah, that's a scam. That's a way to
I
scam.
think PayPal is sort of a scam, and that's the main reason I don't like PayPal at all.
I don't use it. I haven't
Nope.
used it since. I think the last time I used it was when I had a game, an online game. I haven't used it since. I don't like the way they work with.
Nope.
So I'd rather stay away. I always have that. If I don't trust them, I'm gone.
Yeah. Everything that is easy, that's a red flag.
Yes, for sure. I would also say everybody. I would not even say if you have shitty reviews as an acquirer maybe as a PSP, yes, but as an acquirer, I don't think it's weird that you have
Acquiring
because
bad reviews.
Everybody who
are resentment.
all these shitty merchants that get kicked out. Sometimes it's not fair, but most of the times, some of the people I've seen leaving reviews is people we've seen.
Yes.
And they're shit.
Yes.
And they leave shitty reviews.
Yeah. For example, a merchant that comes and says, "Hey, no, this is my processing history. I have only 1% chargeback rates." Then we get them a merchant account, and it results that I don't know how he did. Those numbers were fake. He has a 7 or 8 or 10% chargeback rates. Then they get kicked out. Their money gets held by the acquirer because the acquirer is expecting 6 months of 10% chargebacks, So once those 6 months pass, then they release the money to the merchant.
Precisely.
What happened? That most of them, they go to Trustpilot or any other reviews website, and they leave a bad review
Yeah.
before
because
those 6 months pass.
They get pissed.
They
I
get
it.
pissed. Oh, yeah, they have 50,000 of my money, and they don't give it to me. They are scammers. Then they get their money,
One thing I saw.
and they never delete the review.
I had a case, but there was an aggregator. They kicked the person out. They kept 80,000. Then he left he left a bad review, and they said if you remove it, we'll start paying you.
Yeah, sure.
So he removed it, and he started getting some of it. But I think he only got
Aggregators
60 or 70% of it.
Aggregators are very fucked up. Doing business, the aggregator can, I don't know, legally steal your money. Legally.
We're trying to put some pillars, which is responsiveness, service, actually caring about our customers as that. And then the last pillar for us is knowledge. And that's what you get it with us, outside of the flexibility that a PSP can offer that an acquirer usually don't.
I will say not only that, I will say also that an acquirer will offer you a merchant account for payment processing. And in some cases, some weird cases, they can offer you an IBAN solution, so you can get a bank account with them to receive your settlements.
I've seen that there's some that actually offers only the IBAN if you have the payment processing, which I
Yes.
think is disgusting.
Yeah, I think it is. But a PSP, a payment service provider, can not only offer you one merchant account, can find you several merchant accounts so you can diversify your incomes, your pay-ins, can find you IBAN solutions, alternative payment methods, chargeback prevention systems, fraud prevention systems, tokenization, 3DS, external 3DS, among many other services that we offer here at faster.co. But it's for real. I mean, not only us. I think every single
Everybody.
PSP.
Most have solutions. Some
Yeah.
have solutions we don't have. Some doesn't have what we have. I think in picking a PSP, you just need to go with the vibe.
And the money flow. The money doesn't pass through
if
us.
they say they pay you, then you
That's
should
a
be
red
scared.
flag. Yeah. The money flow is different if you work with a PSP. The processing bank, the acquirer, will pay you directly. The money never goes through us. So we cannot hold your money. We cannot freeze it. We can't do shit. Actually, we got to send you an invoice and you got to pay us and we got to trust you.
Yeah, precisely.
And that's an issue sometimes.
has
But
Still is.
yes, but it is what it is. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments.
Comment, share,
Yeah,
like.
remember to share, to
Mom,
like.
Dad,
For those that are
mother-in-law.
watching the live stream at Twitch,
We'll continue.
we will continue with another podcast, another episode. Thank you. So don't leave. stay. Mom, sister.
Mr. Worldwide.
So
Thank you for your time.
thank you for your time. Thank you for watching.
Yes.
Peace.
We got it next. That's how you finesse.